maybe I said, oh, Dean Lowry, I forgot about, yeah. Boy, Dean really got upset with us. Actually, I was Dean's first employee back in 68, right. Yeah.
Early 69.
So all in the beginning, it was these guys coming up with these ideas. The brains between Paul and I is Paul over here. But unfortunately, they're all gone. Daryl was the last one to pass away, and that was a little bit over a year ago now. Paul and I are the only guys left from the beginning, the very, very start. And that's why we're so privileged to be able to, we saved a lot of this stuff from the very beginning, having no idea this was going to end up like this. This was just a garage to work on our race cars at the time. Well, we built it from scratch. There was a little garage here we knocked down and then built this. And it's turned into the museum and the Volkswagen Museum. Paul and I are so fortunate. We've been honored in Japan, in Belgium, in Germany, in England, in Scotland, Indonesia. 2 kids from Costa Mesa, Indonesia. All because of those little blue Volkswagens over there, because of that. So our first Volkswagen we got in 73. It was 63. 40 horsepower fresh air in April, first of the fresh air. And we got a motor from Impey, and we started racing that real quick. And then Dean Lowry said, you know, you guys are going to start breaking pieces. And we thought, no, we'll never break anything. Of course, we went through like 5 transaxles and all the rest of the stuff. But so he said, well, what you got to do is go out, buy an old Volkswagen. So we bought a 1955 VW, which cost us about $250 back then. Now we're talking about 1963. And he said the second thing we had to do is get a Porsche 741 type transaxle. Now that was what was in the 356s from 58 to 62. The reason why that, we could change the gear ratio in it. There were 5 sets of gears, first, second, third, and fourth, A series, B series. And you could mix and match. You could put a third gear in the second gear spot. You could put a first gear in the fourth gear spot. You could do whatever you want. That was for road racing. And at that time, the VW boxes, you had what you had. Later on, then they came up with the welded third and fourth gears, and then it progressed from there. But in the very beginning was the 741 type, which we have one in display in the engine room, where the first 10-second and 6-second and the 8th mile motor and transaxle is the one that's in the Lightning Bug 2. That's our backup motor. Those also went 10 seconds too at the time. This was back in 72 when we broke the 10-second barrier. But so that's kind of how it started. At the time, the inch pincher was the first Volkswagen. The second one was the Lightning Bug. And then the other guys came along 2 or 3 years later on. You know, all the other race car Volkswagens.
I think his name is Ron Fleming.
Yeah, Fleming had one too. But the first 2.
I gotta say that Gary Berg was at the start also, but he's only about 10.
I think he was younger than that. But in any event, that's kind of how it started. The Lightning Bug and the inch pincher were the first 2. Luckily, Paul and I got to travel all over the United States with the 2 Lightning Bugs at different times. The first one here is a recreation, was done in Scotland and England. That car I crashed in '69, and then we built LB2 in 2 months, getting ready for the Winter Nationals in January of 1970. And then that car's got all the updates that we knew about in 1970. A lot of things that we were trying, and the inch pincher was trying, and then all the other cars were trying different things. But that car was built. The good thing was we had all this information and we put it to that car. That car only weighed 1,064 pounds, which is unbelievable. We ran a 2180cc, which is 133 cubic inches. And Paul can tell you about the weight brake and the H&I gas and stuff.
Well, yeah, then there was I-gas, which was 11 pounds per cube, and H-gas was 8 pounds per cube. And when we raced with Dino Dinosaur and Berg in the early days, but out of Dino Dinosaurs, the only people that got to race on Sunday were the class winners. So they didn't have qualifying for most of the races. So we ran in the I-gas class, and Dean ran with the dinosaur in the H-gas class. So we then had to add weight and run an 1835 motor, smaller cubic inches, in order to have the weight come in with what fit into it. Our back bumper weighed 50 pounds. Actually, the bracket is over here. Each bracket weighs 25 pounds. That holds it on. So that's not wasn't against the rule. They never said how heavy the bracket could be. And then when we ran H-gas, we had the half-a-pound brackets holding it up. We're always looking for something to do that better. The weight was really important. I just shared with Gary Berg over there that the only other person other than Mark and I who drive the Lightning Bug was Gene, his dad, Gene Berg. And one time he made one pass at Orange County in the car, and he went like 800s quicker than on my best pass. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not shifting this fast enough or something. And then we got out of the car. I said, man, how'd you do that? He says, well, hey, Paul, how much do you weigh? You know, 180. Well, I weigh 125, and that will show you right away how much weight is important to make it lighter. So what was neat about those days, we're always able to look for something new and create stuff. Today it pretty much exists, but back then you had to make it. You didn't buy it. We have first ratio rocker arms up there, which is a stock rocker that we cut empty with Dean Lowry. Extended the ratio on it. There was no ratio rocker arms, such as that. So anyhow, we just kept developing, and what was neat working for companies, what we developed, invented was something that could be sold, and that's how it went forward from there.
Very cool.
So.
Are you scared to give me that mic?
So that's kind of how we started with the Volkswagens. From there, real quick, we got into Indianapolis cars you'll see some of the IndyCar stuff in the engine room, 990 500s with Tom Bigelow. Then we got into NASCAR and doing stuff with that. I'm still involved with NASCAR with a gentleman by the name of
Eric Jones.
Jeepers. Eric Jones. He drives, had been driving for the coach in the 20 car for the last 5 years. Now he's driving Richard Petty's car, the 43 car. So I'm still part of that with.
People ask, how did you guys get into Volkswagens in the first place? And so God, what were we? Our father passed away early, so I was like 15, Mark was 16, and we went with a neighbor to look at cars, and we were on Harbor Boulevard, and we were looking at a Dodge Dart that had a 413 motor with cross ram manifold, 2 4-barrels, and it was used, but it looked like it only been run on a racetrack. And so we were all excited about that. And our mother didn't know much about cars, so the neighbor said to her, you know, this isn't a good car for two 15 and 16-year-olds being the first car. So we saw, well, there's this little V8 that was in a Oldsmobile, I think, aluminum V8, Pontiac Tempest. So we were going for a test ride in Newport Beach from a Pontiac dealer in the Tempest, that we had told the salesman about our story. Our dad passed away, and this is the first car we're going to get. And this Volkswagen goes by us with this girl that looked like this in there. And we, whoa, whoa, you know, hooting and hollering like Ron Fleming would do. And the salesman says, you know what, you guys should really get a Volkswagen. We went to Chick Iverson in Newport Beach, and we bought a 1963 Volkswagen. We had a choice of black, or black. Anyhow, here's another good one. You're talking, guys, we're the first to go 10 seconds, but our very first Volkswagen, we did it. We're out in the parking lot sitting in it, and the salesman comes back out after about 20 minutes. He said, are you guys okay? We said, how do you get this in reverse? And he even showed us how to put it in reverse. So, never driven one. But anyhow, I had to share that. It's her fault we got a Volkswagen.
I'd do it again too.
All right, so these gentlemen will be divided up a little bit, and if you would like to get some more history from them directly, come up, say hi. They will talk to you about whatever you want to ask questions about. I got a lot of fun history about that red vert over there, and Tacos will be here shortly. And there's a little bit of...
Real quick, the taco guy's here.
Oh, perfect. I'll go talk to him. There's a rack upstairs with some t-shirts. If you just decide you like some memorabilia t-shirts,